The Jets and the Giants seem to both love having two picks in the first round. But where do the Jets go at 16? Let's find out. Yes, the second part of my mock draft 2.0 as promised. Picks 16 through 32. Kenny C back here with you on the mic. Let's get into it. Gonna get down to business. Now, the Giants went ahead and screwed up my mock draft as soon as I dropped it, of course. I dropped the first part on Saturday. And what do? They go out and they trade Sexy Dexy to the Bengals for the 10th overall pick. So obviously, that part of the video, things would have changed had I known the Giants would move up and have two picks within the top 10. But you can't do anything about it now. You got to talk about the here and the now. And take this mock draft at face value because other things could shake up between now and tomorrow, which is the NFL draft. Pick 16, wasting no time. Hit the subscribe button, by the way, because more of this content, including draft grades and things of that likeness, will be on the way. Also, check out the YouTube Shorts. I'm consistent. I post just about every single day. So check that out. You want to hit the subscribe button. Don't miss a moment. Pick 16, the New York Jets. What do they do here? Well, in the first 5 picks at pick number 2, I had them going Arvell Reese. At this pick, I think they need to address the wide receiver position. And when you look at what they have right now in their depth chart, Isaiah Williams is the slot wide receiver right now. You're probably thinking, who? I think they bump Garrett Wilson inside to the slot. I think they move Adonai Mitchell out to the Z. And their X will be Denzel Boston out of Washington. 6'4", 209 pounds. This guy plays like a power forward / center at the wide receiver position. He's going to go up. He's going to use every ounce of his frame to get to the football. Great deep ball threat. This is what the Jets need for Geno Smith. Need a guy that can stretch the field, get downfield and make a big play over the top. 20 touchdowns in 2 years with Washington. In 4 years of college football, 1,781 yards, 132 receptions. The Jets offense could look really, really scary when you look at the fact that they have Breece Hall in the backfield. And if you add Boston to round out a wide receiver core that's going to already have Garrett Wilson in it and Adonai Mitchell and Mason Taylor, Jets could look scary if they go Denzel here with this pick. They also could go Omar Cooper Jr., but I think Denzel fits the mold better for the Jets and what they need because Garrett Wilson, around 6 foot, same with Adonai Mitchell and Isaiah Williams. So they need a guy with size. They need that big man in the wide receiving core, if you will. That's why I'm going Boston here with this pick. Move on to pick number 17, Detroit. You're on the clock. Brad Holmes and the Lions on the clock here at 17. With this pick, I'm going to address the trenches for the Lions. They brought in Larry Borom, who is, I guess at this point, considered a vet, drafted in the 5th round in 2021 by Chicago, played in Miami last year. He's slated to be their right tackle right now. Obviously, their left tackle is Penei Sewell. I think if you go out and you get Monroe Freeling from Georgia, this guy could be the future at the tackle position. He's the type of player, however, they're going to need Borom to man that right side, probably, if I had to say. And I'm not one of these pro scouts or anything of the likeness or a coach on any sort of staff at the professional level. But if I had to say, Monroe Freeling, based on what I've seen and based on also what I've read, he's a guy that's going to have to work through the growing pains in the first year, and really in the second year he'll come into his own. 6'7", 315 pounds. Him and Sewell for the future would be dynamic. That would be awesome. His comp is to Colts tackle Bernard Raymond. Sort of go work through the growing pains in the first year, and then as I said, he'll really hit the ground running in the second year. So maybe Borom mans that right side to start, but this is a guy in Freeling who had the second best raw athletic score since 1987 for a tackle, and 9.99 out of 10 at this year's Combine. Athletic freak, great size. I think Freeling is the pick for the Lions for the future of their offensive line. Let's head on to pick 18. The Vikings are on the clock. At 18, the Purple People Eaters get a gift. Jeremiah Love is still on the board here in my mock. In all actuality, he will not fall this far. I do not think he gets out of the top 10. at the latest, maybe top 15. But Jeremiah Love, best player available on this board by far. And the future of the running back position for the Vikings, Aaron Jones is 31 years old. He's had some injury problems the last couple of seasons. They just restructured his deal. They almost were about to cut him. I think he's on a 2-year deal, $20 million. They lowered his average annual salary. Jeremiah Love is very similar to Aaron Jones in terms of the receiving ability. An uncanny ability to catch the football and make plays in space with the football. The human highlight reel, that's what Jeremiah Love was for the past few seasons at Notre Dame. Setting and breaking records, breaking Jerome Bettis' single season all-purpose touchdowns record. Love had 21 touchdowns this past season, 35 the last 2 years, 2,497 yards, a 4.36 second 40-yard dash time. He left it all out on the table at the Combine and left no doubts about his ability. The Vikings should have no doubts about this pick and take Love if by the grace of God he falls to 18. Let's move on to Carolina's pick at 19. Panthers here at 19. They did some damage in free agency at the linebacker position, bringing in Jalen Phillips, bringing in Devin Lloyd. They shored up some offensive line pieces with getting my guy Rasheed Walker. They brought in Luke Fortner at the center spot. That's all fine and dandy, and it's awesome that they're shoring up the trenches up front for Bryce Young. They got to get Bryce Young another weapon. They brought in John Mechie, the veteran, right? Jalen Coker, they were able to retain him. He's their slot guy right now. He had a really good season. But this guy right here, he could definitely give Coker a run for his money, and he will find a way to be a starter in this offense because Xavier Legette, let's be honest, has not lived up to first-round selection expectations. Back in 2024 is when he was taken. But in 2026, Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana is my pick here for Carolina. They really want to see what they have with Bryce Young, right? Last year was kind of that prove-it year for Bryce, and he showed up. He got them into the playoffs. Let's give him another weapon in a contract year. If you want to give him the bag and know that he's your dude, give him any and all weapons to be able to prove that to you and add to his arsenal. 6 foot, 190 pounds. If you had any questions about Omar Cooper Jr.'s first-round talent ability, just go watch that touchdown catch that he had against Penn State. Enough said. That game-winning touchdown, his contested catch ability, if there's any questions about that, you go watch that play and you get back to me. Gus Johnson's call of that play was electric. Literally took the guy's breath away. 27 missed tackles forced. That was the 4th most in the FBS amongst all wide receivers. Omar Cooper Jr. is my guy here to shore up that weapon arsenal for Bryce Young. At pick 20, Dallas is back on the clock in the first 12 picks. At pick 12, I had them getting Jermod McCoy. Now they have the 20th pick. Jerry, Steven, what are we doing here? I think they stay defense. I think they stay defense here, and they bolster that defensive front at the edge spot. Donovan Ezaraku is coming off of a hip surgery. He should be good to go by camp, but I think they need to go out and get another talent at that edge spot. That's why I'm going Keldrick Folk out of Auburn. He's 6'6", 276 pounds. He's versatile. He can play inside. He can play outside. He excels at both the run and the pass facets of the game. And his stats were down in 2025 compared to 2024, but that's due to his versatility and what they did with him in that Tigers defensive front. They played him as a 2-tech. They played him as a 4-tech. Very long measurables. He uses that length to his advantage to distance from opposing offensive linemen. Keldrick Folk is a stud, and I think the Cowboys would do themselves a great service by getting this guy here at pick 20. Let's move on to 21. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. At 21, Steel City's on the clock. This is a team that has prided itself historically on building the trenches, building the hogs up front on the O-line, building the hogs up front on the D-line. And I think with this pick in mock 1.0, I had them going Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. But then post free agency or around that time. They then traded for Michael Pittman Jr. Him and DK, I think, are going to be really solid in this offense. But then in free agency, they also lost Isaac Seumalo at the guard position. Spencer Anderson slots in at their left guard spot right now. He was a 7th round pick in 2023. The long-term answer at the guard spot, this is a can't-miss prospect as a guard out of Penn State. Olayivavenga Ioane. This guy is every ounce of his frame. 6'4", 320 pounds. His anchoring ability, uncanny. He holds at the point of attack. Once he anchors, it's hard to move him. He's got a thick build. I don't really have to sell this guy anymore because one pressure, 0 sacks allowed. If you're going to bring back Aaron Rodgers, which is that's still in the air, maybe that happens by the time this video drops, maybe it doesn't. Whoever your quarterback's going to be, you want this guy blocking up front for you. And sporting the black and yellow, he's going to be one of those solidified players on the offensive line for years to come in my eyes. I think Steel City can't go wrong by going with Olayivavenga Ioane. Pick 22 here, Jim Harbaugh, also a guy that loves his big dogs in the trenches and getting big body guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They lost Odafe Oweh, the Chargers did, in free agency. They did bring in Dalvin Tomlinson, and they were able to re-sign Tier Tart on that D-line, but they could use the edge help. I think they go with TJ Parker out of Clemson here. Technically sound, above average handwork, excels at setting the edge. He had a great Senior Bowl back in February, and Daniel Jeremiah comped him to Trey Hendrickson. If you're getting those sort of comps, you're probably a pretty damn good prospect. TJ Parker here, simply put, is the guy at pick 22 for the Bolts. Let's go to the Eagles at 23. Things are interesting at pick 23 for Howie Roseman and the Eagles. Based on all the buzz that we're hearing about A.J. Brown and all of the signs pointing to him being traded to the New England Patriots by June 1st, we could see potentially a draft trade-up for the Eagles to try to get a top dog at the wide receiver spot. I know they traded for Dontavian Wicks, another telling sign that A.J. Brown's career in Philly, in the city of brotherly love, is probably over. With this pick, though, if they stay put at 23, they did lose Rodrigo Blankenship. I know they have Andrew Makuba at the free safety spot and Marcus Epps at the strong safety spot. But with this pick here and this type of player, you can put him at either spot. Hell, he could even play down in the box because he had 700 snaps doing so as potentially that sort of hybrid linebacker-esque sort of player. And I'm talking about Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. As a freshman with Purdue, he had 6 interceptions, or I believe as a freshman and a sophomore, he had 6 interceptions, 1,100 snaps at the free safety spot. Great in coverage. He's got phenomenal instincts when it comes to that. He can be a ball hawk and he can go get the ball, or he can go down into the box and make plays on the running back. He could rush the quarterback. He's had nickel responsibilities in college between Purdue and Oregon. Dylan Thieneman is a Swiss Army knife at the safety position, and I think he would be a great complement to the DBs that they have on that defense. I'm going to Cleveland here at pick 24. They're now on the clock. At 24, the Browns back on the clock. At pick 6, I had them getting Mekhi Lemon and addressing the wide receiving core. Here, I know they did a lot to assess the offensive line and address the offensive line, I should say, in free agency. But when you look at their left tackle spot with DeJuan Jones, last year he suffered his 3rd season-ending leg injury. That doesn't breed longevity to me. The best ability is availability. And a guy who played through a torn labrum last year tells me all I need to know about his toughness and his ability to be there and be able to play. And that's Caden Proctor out of Alabama. There was some concerns for his weight, with his weight fluctuating and increasing but he did get it down for the combine and locked in. 6'7", 352 pounds. We've seen that sort of thing in the past with Mekhi Becton, who's 6'7", 364 pounds, being kicked inside to guard because he's just simply too heavy to be as nimble on his feet and as nimble as you need to be a tackle in this league. But his 5.21 second 40-yard dash time and 32.5-inch vertical, that tells me all I need to know about this guy's ability to move. Caden Proctor and his athletic ability, he's a brick wall, and when he sets in and anchors, forget about it. This is a guy that squatted 815 pounds. Caden Proctor, if he can stay on a strict regimen and keep his weight at a good level, at an adequate level, he has all of the intangibles to be a long-term tackle in the NFL. Let's move on to pick 25. The Chicago Bears are on the clock. The Bears on the clock at pick 25. Do they go offense? Do they go defense? Well, the last time they went defense in an NFL draft, Bears fans, do you know? 2018, when Ryan Pace was the GM. I think they break the trend here. Kobe Bryant was one of their best free agent pickups in free agency. He'll man the free safety spot. Cam Lewis is their strong safety right now. He's technically a defensive back. They need help at this position. They lost Brisker. They lost Byard. I'm going Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo, arguably the best safety in this draft. Depending on who you ask, he's long, he's tall, 3 forced fumbles, led the team last year for Toledo. 13 games played, 12 starts. He's a guy that's going to give you some quality run support. You can bring him down in the box. He's not afraid to disrupt and hit wide receivers, and he's definitely not afraid to hit the running back. He's really solid in the run defense component of his game, and that's what the Bears needed last year. The Bears needed help in their run defense. When you go and you look at the stats, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is the pick here. Brandon Beane, here at this pick, simply put, you need to get your quarterback some more help. Furthermore, I know they traded for DJ Moore, gave up draft capital to get him. That's all fine and dandy, but you need some more help for your star quarterback. Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, they're not going to cut it, and that's why I think the Bills go Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M here. He can play anywhere on the field for you. The slot, the Z, the X. This is a guy that set receiving records during his time at NC State, and with A&M last year averaged 15.1 yards per reception. He had, in 12 games, he had 886 yards and 9 touchdowns. Go out and get Concepcion for your quarterback because you guys need some help if you want to make it far in the AFC. Let's move on to pick 27, the San Francisco 49ers. They need to make a pick. Lynch, what is your move here at pick 27? Well, in mock 1.0, I had them getting Dylan Thieneman here with this pick. He's obviously no longer on the board here for me in this mock. In free agency, they didn't quite address that safety need. Dre Greenlaw, they brought him back into the fold. They brought in Mike Evans. That was the big splash for the offense. Christian Kirk also added for some depth. Nate Hobbs at DB, which good luck with him. He might not even be on the field for you guys. But at this pick here, I'm looking at Trent Williams. I'm looking at the deal, the restructured deal that they were able to get him, or the extension that they were able to get him. He's 38 years old. Phenomenal all-pro stalwart lineman, right, for the 49ers for the longest time. But again, he's 38. Get his predecessor, Caleb Lomu, out of Utah. I know they brought in Vidarian Lowe, who they brought him in on a 2-year deal. He's a swing tackle. He's a depth piece. He can play either side for you. But I would get a guy for the future, and that's Caleb Lomu. 2 sacks, 2 pressures in 2 years of college football. He's 6'6", 304 pounds, and he's extremely athletic for his size. That fits the mold perfectly in a Kyle Shanahan system. Go out and get this guy in this first round here. Pick 28, the Texans on the clock. Trenches, trenches, trenches here with this pick for the Texans. Either O-line or D-line, you cannot go wrong. When I look at the Texans defense, they are obviously dominant. DeMeco Ryans has himself one hell of a unit already. But the rich can get richer here. Sheldon Rankins, who they brought back, is 32 years old. Tommy Togiai, he's young. They brought him back. He's a quality piece on the D-line, but you need some more depth there at that position. And I'm going to go with Peter Woods out of Clemson. Why? Not only is he 6'3", 310 pounds, but he specializes in pocket collapsing units. That's where he thrives, in collective pocket collapsing units. The Texans have Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter coming off of the edges. I think they're a pocket collapsing unit. Peter Woods would do great things for this defense. 84 total tackles, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles over 3 seasons. In the free agency period, they went out and they got Braden Smith. They went out and they brought in Wyatt Teller. Could you go offensive line here? Because you might have questions about durability. Sure, you could. But I think Nick Casario's move here should be to get Peter Woods out of Clemson, make a splash, and get even richer than you already are on defense. Brett Veach and the Chiefs on the clock here. They already got Mansour Delane in my mock at pick 9. They got the 29th pick via the Trent McDuffie trade. And what I think they need here, undoubtedly, is more pressure off the edge, because George Karlaftis and Ashton Gillette are not going to cut it. You need some more help here. Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M is still on the board, probably the best edge rusher left on my board here at this point in time. They definitely need the help, and Howell knows how to get after the quarterback. That is what Steve Spagnuolo needs for his defense. 11.5 sacks this past season. In 2023, he had 9.5 sacks. This is a productive man right here. The Chiefs need to go out and get this guy. At pick 30, the Miami Dolphins also on the clock. We have plenty of teams with 2 picks in the first round. This is uncanny. We're undoubtedly going to see some trade backs in my eyes. But let's head on to the Dolphins pick. John Eric Sullivan could choose to trade up with this pick. He could trade back with this pick, or he could stay put. He's got the luxury to do that because the fact of the matter is, he's got the pick because of the Jalen Waddle trade with the Broncos. When I look at what they have at head coach, Jeff Hafley, coming from Green Bay, a defensive-minded guy, I think they go defense here. When you look at their secondary, it's definitely a position of need because of the unproven factor. You have guys like Jason Marshall Jr., like Darrell Baker Jr., like Storm Duck. You could use another guy in the mix that is a proven dog, at least in his college years, and that's Avion Terrell out of Clemson, brother of A.J. Terrell. It runs in the family. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. He's a press coverage specialist. He's got great ball skills. This is another sort of do-it-all cornerback. A guy that's not afraid to hit you and force fumbles. He had 8 of them. He's also a ball hawk, 3 interceptions, and he will lay the boom and he will tackle you 125 combined tackles for Avion Terrell. This is a Dolphins secondary that definitely could use a boost. Let's move on to pick 31. The New England Patriots are on the clock. Elliott Wolf here at pick 31 for the Pats. Now, when you look at the free agency, the Patriots were active. They brought in Elijah Vera Tucker. They brought in Romeo Doubs. There's strong rumors and a strong sense that they're going to go after A.J. Brown by June 1st and make a trade for him. They got Kevin Byard at the safety position. They brought in Draymond Jones, who had a really nice season last year. I still think they need to add to that defensive front, though. When you look at the Super Bowl, they were not able to get any pressure on Sam Darnold. They need to change that. Zion Young out of Missouri here, I think should be their pick. Does have that DWI over his head from back in December that may or may not affect his draft stock. But when you look at his raw skill as a football player, he's great against the run, and he can also rush the passer. This is another guy, and we keep using that cliche. I feel like it's used a lot when we talk about draft prospects, is versatility. But it is true. This guy can do it all. If you go watch the film, the thing that pops out, to me at least, is his ability to get the hands up and be a disruptor for the quarterback and bat down passes. I saw that time and time again. He's just going to get in there and he's going to make it hard for you at the end of the day. Whether it's tipping passes, whether it's sacking you, stripping the football, he's going to make a play. It can't just be Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and then Harold Landry coming off of the knee. You can't just rely on them to get pressure. They lost K'Lavon Chaisson. They're going to need some help here at this position. This is a guy that's going to bring power. He can line up anywhere on the defensive front as well for Mike Vrabel, which is something that's a huge plus for him. Vrabel's a defensive guy. This is your guy at this pick. The final pick in this mock draft 2.0, the 32nd pick, goes to the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks. Let's see who they get to wrap this one out. John Schneider to wrap up round 1 of Mock 2.0. I want all of your thoughts in the comment section below right now. Give me your grades for my draft. What would you give it? Give me your picks, who your favorite team is, and what pick you think they're going to go with. But John Schneider, to wrap this thing up, Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. They lost Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs in free agency. They could go cornerback here. Colton Hood would be here at this pick out of Tennessee because you lost Tariq Woolen. I'm going with Jadarian Price. This would be historic as well because this would be the first time that 2 running backs from the same school were in fact the first 2 running backs off of the board in the first round of a draft since 1949. Paul Page and Doak Walker. Doak Walker went to the New York Bulldogs and Paul Page went to the New York Giants. At this pick for the Seahawks, Jadarian Price. Throughout his college career, 3 seasons with the Irish, 6 yards per carry is what he averaged. He had 11 touchdowns in 2025. He had 7 in 2024. This is a running back that has a knack for the end zone. 2 kick return touchdowns as well this past season. He's more of a natural runner than Jeremiah Love. He's not nearly the pass catcher that Love is. He doesn't have that explosivity that Love has, but he is a great natural runner. He has outstanding vision. He knows how to find pay dirt, and he knows space in between the tackles. He has that keen eye for that. This could be a great compliment to a Zach Charbonnet once he comes back from that ACL. They're very thin at the position. Jadarian Price will help you cash in Seattle. Hit that subscribe button, hit that comment section, and stay tuned for more content.